right now, but I swear I'm about to cash in. Rather be broke together than alone in the mansion. Feeling like I'm never gonna make it.
Serving up at the breakfast buffet, we have rapper Kosha Dillz, Rami Even-Esh, and we got a lot out of this discussion. And the biggest takeaways I have from this is a lot of branding and learning how to hustle and not get rid of that blue collar mentality, no matter where you are in life. And we talked all about expanding your audience and making the most out of these times during the pandemic where there are no arenas to perform at. And he talked about, expanding your audience, but also catering to the audience you already have, your fan base. So hope you guys will enjoy and get a lot out of this one.
Breakfast buffet, no breakfast burrito. I'm trying to cook up brunch and lunch for my people. I had the evil ways of living, it's so fly. We Edison backwards, so you know it says no side. Oh my, when I jump, I'm underground like my brother be. People say, yeah, you hustling, you so hustly. I show you what my muscle be, I'm crazy and fly. I'm always squatting for 5 reps at 185, but I go up and watch my stance. I strengthen my core with a Pilates, damn. Yeah, I had to switch it to Zoom class. I'm looking for new cash. I'm kicking like 2 asses at one time, one rhyme, and it's too classy. This is the rap sheet. I show you my life. People say, Dillz, I never knew you that dope on a mic. See, I flow off the top of the brain when I'm righteous with style. They say how you do it improv. I didn't need to write it down. This is something I explain, connect to the raps. Kosha Dillz, the 51st star, the American flag, to hell and back. Represent, I blaze with the raps. That's why every time I throw up an A when I'm ready to the jazz. A.
Nobody cares except you. Nobody cares about anyone. Let me explain for a minute, break it down. Could be hard if you new in town. What you doing now? I'm in the gym a lot, working on my appearance. I don't lift a lot, but cardio got me running.
We have special guest today. We have my man Kosha Dillz.
What's good?
the man, the myth, the legend, the Kosha Dillz.
The legend.
Yes. Rami Even-Esh. That's how I know him. Zach Even-Esh's younger brother. Zach's a very inspirational person in my life, and I would call him a father figure. Mentor. He taught me many lessons, and Kosha Dillz, rapper and inspiration, I would say. Definitely.
I would hope so, inspire some people,
Traveler, been around the world twice over.
Literally.
So how you doing, my man? How is this pandemic rolling out for you? I would hope we're kind of on the tail end of it, but who really knows nowadays? But
yeah, man, it's like wrestling season. We're just getting started,
It's never ending.
It's interesting, I was just thinking about the pandemic, where a good place. I was, leaving Israel right when I came back to the US, and then the pandemic was starting, and then like, where was I going to end up? Where would I want to be? And it's as much as it is tough to be anywhere, we're pretty fortunate to be here. And I was just thinking about voting, and I just thinking of bringing this because we voted the other week. I've been to all 50 states, every single state in America, everyone.
That's still a goal of mine, so that's awesome.
Dude, it's a cool way to live, man. I mean, it's a great place to be, Yeah. Alaska, Hawaii, Mississippi. I've been everywhere, for music.
For music, and music brings people together, right? So you had your own albums. You're even on the Super Bowl commercial. Wow.
No.
Yep. Here we go.
Here we go.
And you were picking up steam in Israel. You were touring with a bunch of top names, right?
Yeah. The cool thing in Israel is like, you could go to a show and there's like usually people go to events. You know what I mean? It's a going out world. People are attending shows. all over the country, and I got to tour with this band Lucille Crew while I was there, and kind of be in like a tour bus in Israel, which is just, a super van, a big mini super van. And just see the country through music is just any way you could see that country is awesome. And like music is a great way to travel because one, you're going to meet people, two, you get to show off what you do, and they're there to see you. So you got people that are down to show you around this awesome place, and like some of the experiences I have from just being in Israel touring, it makes me sad that because of the pandemic, we can't have that. So you have to readapt and figure out ways to reach people without, by being safe and however that may look, properly on the internet and TV, and, obviously in real life, because people are, everyone's nervous about it, and there's rules now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You're readjusting and kind of like reinventing yourself. So how were you able to just reinvent yourself throughout this whole time?
So like just in the pandemic, like at least in New York, because I'll just speak about being here. Like when I was in LA and for like the first half of the pandemic so far, I would say that, a lot of it is done, we're online surfing and just rapping on like big IG lives. Like a lot of people are just going on IGs, and I'm just, trying to stay relevant, get new followers, etc. And I really wanted to get out. And while it was dwindling down, I left LA, came to New York, and New York is like, the weather here has been perfect up till even now. I mean, it's like summer's extended, and I've been street performing and just performing at Washington Square Park, Williamsburg, Brooklyn, in the park, McCarran Park in Williamsburg, outside the MoMA, just anywhere I can, because New York is the only city in the entire world, I think, really, that there's just so much traffic right now.
Right.
Maybe, London as well, or Paris, but like, in a city where there's no cars, I mean, there's tons of cars, not that we have them, but like this, you're out there and everyone's walking, so you get to kind of touch the universe. And I think that is like an exciting thing because New York has a street culture.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, it's like an underground culture that's actually exploding into popularity of like what's cool. So yeah, man. I've been doing that stuff as like my daily, trying to be like I feel like that's my construction worker rap music. It's like,
I like that.
The hours,
Yeah. And that's a great point. I lived in New York City for 4 years, went to school there, and, a lot of like comedians and celebrities, they would perform at the park and just do their thing. And, they would just do it pure out of just entertaining the people. And especially now, I figure, the people of New York City just need that.
Yeah, I think like, people are thirsty for something new, right? Like I remember when the pandemic started and I watched this movie that we grew up watching. It was called Hot Dog, and it's like this old skiing movie. And it's like not a good movie, but there's these funny parts that I remember, like in our, your family group text, and you send and you're like, yo, I remember this, because we used to go on ski vacations. And now I think we're at that point again where we're like, all right, we're losing it for the third time already. Like it's go cuckoo mode. And when you're performing in the streets, people like you're seeing some of the most amazing people out there, because even like the people that might be inside, they're like, what, I need to go for a walk. And like, I'm just getting out the house, I'm gonna go to the park, or I'm gonna walk around here. And you have these chance encounters, and you would have never encountered them unless you were out doing your thing. So for me, like, if I feel that I'm not getting the stuff done on the keyboard, typing like this, or, socials, I'm like, you know what? Let me just go get out, I'll make some money. And it's really not that. I'll get some killer content. There's somebody out there with $3,000 camera that's like, I'm going to go out and take pictures in the street. And, you're just creating this vibe, and it's a different form of storytelling. And, for me, that's what it's all about, because I want to connect to people. And the more I connect, the more, the more I earn in, relationships.
Yeah.
It spreads my, songs and brand, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the best way to market yourself too, person to person. That's for any type of brand, any type of product, is that, firsthand account, and you know, kind of brings you back to the purest ways. You know, being back and growing up in Edison, New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Middlesex County representing, and
Yeah.
just the culture we had there, just the blue collar mentality of just hustling, working hard, and always achieving what's in front of you, right?
You like where we're from, I think it's super celebrated, and you realize that like, yeah, I was just in my like high school reunion like Facebook group and stuff, and I'm like, I should just slam some promo up in here. It's like, you know, it's just funny because everyone just has their jobs, everyone does whatever they do, and in my mind I'm like, yo man, this is a great chance to like connect with people. A lot of people have their thing, but for people that are entrepreneurs and have their own business, I've never had the luxury of just showing up to the 9 to 5, so I have to create that structure. And for other people that are like that have kept their jobs or lost their jobs, they're just on unemployment and looking for work, and they just send out the emails. For me, I never had this experience, so it was sort of like I've been training for the end of the world. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, this is the time when I'm gonna shine doing the craziest shit. And everyone else is like, wow, how are you so active? You're like, you don't get it. I've been doing this before the pandemic because I was forced to anyway. If I wasn't, like, all right, I was going to go on tour. Now the tour doesn't happen. So, okay, what do? Well, you go on tour anyway. You tour on the internet and you go and do collaborations with different, you know, Instagram pages or Facebook pages and perform on their pages for their fans. And you travel to New York City and play in Philly and then play in Pittsburgh. And then now you're like, I'll play in this park and I'll play in that park and I'll play in this park and I'll just keep playing every day. And I go to work every day. Some days you make some money, some days you make less, some days you make more. But the true way that you really make impact is like consistency, right? It's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym every day, you'll see gains. But if you go to the gym every day and diet strictly for like months, bro, you're gonna totally have a life-changing, you know, look.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. I'm not the catalyst for like.
You're still repping out your pull-ups and push-ups, huh?
Yo, but I could bang out like I could bang out like so many pull-ups during the pandemic because I was doing pull-ups all the time.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, finding the next park and finding the next area to just do your thing, that just brings you back to the wrestling days, you know. You lose that first round in that tournament, guess what? I'm wrestling all the way back for third now. I'm getting the next best thing.
Yeah, and I, not to cut you off, but like I was known for always taking second and third. I was always doing good. Like I was always making a name for myself. I never broke through to first place all the time. First place. I never made the biggest upset, but I was like consistent. And although I don't think it is the best quality for me at this point in my life, I do think that it is an amazing quality to have, because a lot of people don't think they should wrestle at all, right? But my mind was like, well, if I took third in every tournament and I was winning a lot and really liked it and really learned so much from it and used it in my real life, if I'm late to something, I could still show up. If I show up for 30 minutes, it's better than showing up for, 10 minutes. And some people are, I need to show up for all 90 minutes or don't show up at all. For me, I sort of figured out how to make a career in rap music by getting 2 minutes on stage. So someone's like, listen, I'll let you rap with me on stage in Berlin in front of 900 people for like 3 minutes, but you got to get there. And I'm like, so what, you rap for 3 minutes in Berlin in front of 900 people? I'll be there.
Yeah, there you go. Taking
saying?
advantage of the opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
You only got those 3 minutes, but you're going to make that the best 3 minutes you have, right?
Exactly. And like in wrestling, like you train hours and hours and hours and hours and hours for 6 minutes, you know what I'm saying? So you think about it. I mean, I literally, like, for rap, I remember I flew to Belgium and like Modest Yahoo's manager was like, yeah, you can get on. And I didn't really think you were going to come. And I'm like, bro, I'm here. I'm like, it's showtime. And I remember we went on stage and there was like 20,000 people. And it was like, they don't even know if they're going to bring me out because the set got shorter. And I got out there and then like I was there and I'm backstage with like Macklemore and the guy and this is like when Thrift Shop just happened. And I was like, yo, it was crazy. Like Macklemore went on, I think, before Modest Yahoo, and it was at the height of his song, Thrift Shop. I mean, it was everywhere. You could not get away from it. And I mean, they were screaming. I never heard screams like this in my life. And just being there, I was like, whoa, this is so dope to be part of it. I rapped in front of 20,000 people, and I met other people there that I just sort of kept in touch with in this part of the world where like music is probably going to come back in Europe before it's going to come back in America after the pandemic. And you don't know where these people are. So you have like, I always believed there was like the same concept of driving to a wrestling tournament that was like 6 hours away to sit around for 8 hours to wrestle one match and get one forfeit. And you're like, fuck this sucks. But you just kind of did it. And then the best part was like, after that, you have some great conversations. And on the way home, you stop at some, you know, shitty gas station and get a hot dog, and you just talk to somebody and you kind of get it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it has a lot of similarities with the pro wrestling. It's like, you know, a lot of people when we start out, especially me, you know, you drive the older, the veterans of the business around, like Robert Stone. He was a veteran. He was like, you know, I think 18, 19 years in, and I would drive him to his events. You know, I wasn't booked for the show, but I was getting I was basically earning my stripes, you know, getting used to life on the road and driving those 5-6 hour drives and getting to the show. And if there was a spot, I would get a match, and then I would show off. I would show off my skills and then get booked again and just learn the life of the road and learn the business like that. So there's a lot of
So you're telling me, so you would drive this guy to the show, and he's like, yo, we're going to get you a match.
I mean, not even just him. It's just like whoever you're training with, like you would get a car full of wrestlers and just go with them. Either go with them or take the liberties of driving. And then that's how it is. You know, you earn your stripes, just like any business.
In rap, there's so much like, yo, I mean, I've done the driving on the tour, but I'm like a horrible driver because I want to be on the phone, and I'm just like, oh, this is not good. I mean, and I was doing tours before even texting was illegal. So I remember getting pulled over and then being like, are you drunk? And I'm like, no, but like, you know, I'm not. He's like, okay, we're just checking because you're like swerving on the road. It's 2 a.m. You're in Utah. And, you know, I'm just like trying to, you know, use the environment to go somewhere. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy how that life works. We would drive 8 hours, and then you get in tours, and then you realize the big rapper doesn't want to drive. He's handling his life at home. He has tons of stuff he has to do. And so you have to work in the car on your phone. So you get a new rapper or a merch guy that's like, I'm gonna sell the merch and I'm gonna drive. Right? And that's how you get it in. And it's sort of like, okay, I would fly out. I could get some time on Yahoo. Make sure nobody like freaks out on stage. If you need some like maybe some teen ginger for his voice, I'll go, you know, go to the store, grab it, whatever. I'll grab myself a drink, you know, just doing stuff like that. And to me, that's an honor. Like that's what I'm here to do in life. Like I'm here for the experience, but I live once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's no guarantees, but there's always opportunities, right?
And I think that's just like wrestling. Like I'm just like, yo, we're ready to get it in anywhere, or battle rap, or you know, just hey, let's get some competition in and get a match in. I really like that. And now at my age, at 39, like I'm like, I just want to go back into it. I want to start, you know, getting after rappers and just whatever. There's a battle, let's get it. Like I'll go off the top. And I think, you know, I even wrestled like in an open division a couple years back, and I think that stuff is just epic because, you know, why not? You know what I mean? That's
why not?
About. And it's so crazy how it's the same in pro wrestling it is for underground rap. I mean, I was even in Arizona, and at somebody I was staying with was also in pro wrestling, like in the same wrestling you're doing, like, you know, and he's like, yo, I could get you to like rap at a wrestling ring in like the middle, because it's another show. It's at a bar, they got a ring, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of similarities for sure. And, you know, the stuff that you said, you know, adding value to, you know, the big names in that car, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Down right now, but I swear I'm about to cash in. Rather be broke together than alone in the mansion. Feeling like I'm never gonna make it, but they still know what my name is. I don't ever.
Take a step back. When did you realize you wanted to make rapping a career? You know, making that transition from, was it when you were done with wrestling, in high school, or when did you decide like this is what I'm gonna do?
My senior year, I went into a rap battle, and I remember like it was like a round. It was a battle of 32 people, and the first round was a round of 4, so only one person advanced, and I felt like I took second in that thing. So then I like changed the name to KD Flow. I would drop the whole Jewish thing, Kosher Dill, and then I went into college as KD Flow, and I wanted to put out a vinyl record.
Mm-hmm.
And because that was what credibility was. If you got a vinyl, it's on, And then I like ordered my own vinyl, pressed it up by myself, and then I was just buying these like venue magazines and record store, like, and just calling stores. I'm like, yo, can I get my record in your store? It got this one guy on it. Okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And I convinced some company in Germany to order like 30 of them. I was like flabbergasted that they ordered 30 records from me, and they sold them. I mean, they were selling. People sell vinyl, underground rap vinyls, crazy, and that was like what my goal was. I wanted to put out a vinyl. I wanted to rap sort of as a career, but like in my bout with like drugs and stuff, probably from 18 to 22, 23. I'd gone to jail. I didn't think I was able to rap, but I love selling stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I realized around 06 that on MySpace, there were people that liked this one rapper and I liked him. And I'm like, let me pay him to make a record with me, because I couldn't finish anything by myself. Like I just had this mental block. So let's do a collab record. And he agreed to the price. I'm like, okay, this is dope. And I had made some money from doing some like Jewish event shows in relation to Israel. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I started making some money, and I started using MySpace as a way to like find other people in other cities that wanted to book him. Mm-hmm. And I would contact them and then just, what I'm saying? And like, here, you get 1,000, I'll get $200, and we'll just go, and I'll sell my stuff and start making a name for myself. And that's just kind of happened. And next thing you know, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Like 08, I was like, it's party time. Let's go. When I got money, I remember my dad sitting me down to do taxes, and he's like, you got to do taxes. This is what you're going to do. And, started making albums and just taking chances with money and paying people. And I realized that like when I started investing in myself, then I took it even more seriously, because now I'm like, all right, I have to finish it. I spent it. I think that's like, if people want to go to a gym and like pay minimum and then wonder why they don't get results. If you pay for a trainer, the trainer could be like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you here? Like, they hold you accountable. So
right.
That's what that's what like paying rent.
Yep. Paying your dues, right?
Yeah. So, I really love the hardcore DIY stuff of it, because now you could actually do that and do other things and consult with other people about it. And it's a dream for many people to take their art, and it's a privilege too, to take your art and get paid for it and go all around the earth. I mean, to the corners of earth and perform your art. And like, people love wrestling. In fact, wrestling now is even huger. Merchandise for wrestling, like old wrestlers like The Rock and Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, these shirts are going for thousands of dollars. And it's crazy because people want this. We're reliving the nostalgia. So like going back to old high school wrestling mentality is basically like what is needed now, like stuff that's 20 years ago, you know what I mean? So that's why my brother's business, like old school strength training and lifting boulders and pushing tires and shit, when he was doing that, like nobody was doing that. And now everybody's doing it.
Everyone's doing it, yeah.
Because lifting a tire is cool, but lifting a tire on Instagram is cooler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's a great point. I mean, you have 3 brothers, right?
Yeah, not 2 brothers, 3
total. And all 3 of you guys have that hustler mentality, but just 3 different careers and 3 different lifestyles, right?
It's really interesting, bro.
So
If you,
you're the rapper, Zach. I talk about Zach a lot on the podcast. Just a legendary strength and conditioning coach. I don't think there's anyone better. Um, and then your oldest brother, he was in the military and did some like special ops stuff, right?
yeah, my oldest brother Eilon, he was in Israeli Special Forces and he was in the Marines. And his story is insane. I mean, he like just it's so extreme. He's the more extreme out of all of us.
Uh-huh.
He probably would have gone. He got hurt his senior year, so we think he would have been the first guy to go to the States. He went to college, Stockton, and then like the neighbor tried to recruit him in Edison to go to the military. My dad got pissed. I just posted about this in my Instagram. My
Yeah, I
dad
saw
got
it.
pissed.
Yeah.
And then so he went to Israel and then like went in the military there and like was like in special forces like in Lebanon and with bomb sniffing dogs. And then he came back and then like went to county college and then to Columbia in political science and then became in the Marines, and he was married and got divorced, became an Orthodox Jew, has like 5 kids, and he started teaching like fighting to like people that don't fight, to like for like life, you know what I'm saying, for self-defense of getting attacked. And so whenever there's an increase in attacks on Jews that are obviously Jewish, like Orthodox Jews, my brother's business goes up because people start becoming afraid. And this is like what people learn to train. It's like not like average day people, so he kind of specializes in that, in fighting. And it's so funny because he was always a guy that would do something weird that wasn't like it. Like imagine if Zach was like open a gas station, you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the hell is it? My brother Eilon, he's so like flip-floppy. So he would like at some point he was like selling insurance. I'm like, bro, you were like becoming a professional Muay Thai kickboxer. What are you doing? Like, go teach people how to kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now that's what he does full time. And me, my brother was just always strength. My brother, this is how I explain Zach. I used to cut school to like get high, and my brother cut school to go to the gym. So, which is like, who cut school to go to the gym? No one cut school to go to the gym. My brother Zach cut school to go to the gym. And I used to read all these magazines. I was reading Flex magazine and stuff when I was like 8 because my brother was into it. And then me, the rapping was what my friends were into, and I was writing raps, like rap. And then I realized that I could rap in front of a large sum of people, rap in front of 1,000 people, rap in front of 10,000 people. And there's no high that could replace you doing like what you love, and to turn it into a business, turn something that you love into a business is fun because people think you work hard and you're like, I'm lazy, like people think, oh, I know I could work harder, and people think I work so hard because I just work on my stuff all day, but it's the only thing I know how to do.
Yeah, working hard. That's the lifestyle.
Like it's fun. Like let's talk about rapping or, like I'm in that every day for over 10 years,
Yeah. So the biggest thing, I mean, that I'm getting from all 3 of you is just the ability to connect people and just, being able to give back, even rapping in front of all these people and being able to connect, and Zach being able to connect with athletes and just being able to inspire them. I remember the first time I met you, you had like you were rapping in the gym. We had about 20-30 people in there, and we were just jamming out after our workout, and that was awesome.
Yeah, in Edison, I remember that. It was like 2011, and it's interesting, because you have a family dynamic. Like my brothers or my dad's always like, yo, put out the old songs from like 2005, 2006, and you think like, God, those are my best songs, but like they were there when it started, like my father was driving, like there. And my first sweatshirt, and it's funny because you're wearing my brother's like my brother's had 20-40 different shirts. Yeah, just like the history of the Underground Strength merchandise label is pretty dope, My dad had this one shirt, and it said, it was my Matzah for Your Mouth record. It said, Shalom, motherfuckers. It was just like so intense. It was just like, oh my God, I can't believe my dad's like, he was like, I love it. Because we come from like this hardcore family And even my father had stories like this, where he's like, when I was your age, I hopped out of my second floor and I walked in the snow in Romania. And we're like, dude, you're crazy. Like, there's something that, and there was like this story of the Romanian snowplow. And it was like 10 dudes in the street with snow shovels. There was no snow plows. You know what I'm saying? There was a blizzard. It was just like everyone lifting.
Everyone gets shovels and just get wine.
Yeah. And, Zach, my brother Zach, like loved those stories. Like, who could be more hardcore? And I sort of take that into my life, even like subconsciously. I want to say unconsciously, subconsciously, like, I'm like, oh, what's the situation? Oh, we're going here. And I'm like, oh, I could spend $100 in this fancy hotel or $200 in this fancy hotel, but I'm only gonna be there for 3 hours. So let me just sleep on the floor of this train station. And I have plenty of money, but in my mind, I'm like, don't be wasteful. Don't be, don't treat yourself too nice.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like, I don't have to, but it's just like my mentality.
Yeah, just the mentality. That's what it is.
The mentality of like underground. I am underground for life. And I know other people that are like, I need the best of everything. I need posh. I need this. And I'm like, what's wrong with sleeping? And I've like, it's crazy. Like, this is like in recent years, like I've like, not that I slept outside a train station in Switzerland once. I was like, I was clean. It's Switzerland. Like, this is straight.
Yeah.
Anyone else would think that's crazy. But
Right.
for me, I thought that was completely normal. And now that I realize it's kind of like how I was brought up.
Yeah.
Just with this wrestling lifestyle, the hardcore,
Yeah.
you sleep on the floor at a wrestling tournament for hours.
Yeah, that's what I tell the kids, the younger athletes. I'm like, always make, train so well you make it a habit. So I would tell them, like, if you miss weight once, you're most likely going to miss weight again and again and again. So I said, just don't do it. Make that habit into a lifestyle. And
Right.
that's what it was. And I recall, I think it was one of your first albums. I think I won it at Zach's with a pull-up competition. A young freshman in high school, Ray Jazz, I think it was a pull-up ladder, and I won one of your CDs. And back, Zach's all about earning it.
I love it.
Yeah, and I would have wore the shirt you gave me, but I don't fit into it anymore. So I gotta
get a new shirt. Yeah.
I gotta go on your site and get one. But yeah, I was thinking I'd try to put it on. I'm like, oh man, this is like it was like poking out.
That's
I was
funny.
like,
What
but
shirt?
it's a good one. It was the pickle one. All I do all
really?
day in pickle. Yeah, I love that one. I used to wear that a lot in college. It was great.
Actually, National Pickle Day is coming up like this weekend, so I have like a little sale going on. I'm like, oh, it's National Pickle Day. This kind of funny stuff, man. It's kind of funny how that pickle stuff became a thing in 2015 when Pickle Rick came back out.
Yeah.
Oh, Pickle Rick, Kosha Dillz Pickle Rick.
There you go.
So
yeah, that's when I wore it around there, and all my college friends and stuff like, oh, what is that? And then I had them listen to your music, and it spread like that. It was awesome. And then we went to your show in the city around, what was that, 16 maybe, down in Soho. It was a Mercury Lounge, and that was great, man.
Yeah, man. I can't wait till shows again, but
yeah,
we have to
get through this stuff.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't, coming from your family history, we shouldn't really be complaining, because honestly it could have been worse, right? A lot of your family members, they've been through the Holocaust and just that whole area of World War II.
Yeah, so and I think it's like a big thing of like just the work ethic of my grandfather, my father, my mother, her parents, all our relatives, my aunt, people didn't have much. And even coming to America, my father and everyone, and my brother and everyone, they came in 76. My father, was making, I think he told me $10,000 a year, or maybe it was 12,000 for 12 months, like full time. So, I mean, that's literally $250 a week, taking a bus or a train and 2 buses, to get to work. And I think of like, man, we're one generation removed from that, of having to work really hard. Like Zach could have been you know, an easy guy going, or my brother Eilon could just, you know, say whatever and everything, you know, I'm sure get taken care of. But like the next generation, for sure, could be completely removed from that unless you like instill that in them. And that's why I look at it and say like, yeah, I have it tough on some occasion, but like even doing what we love for work is a complete privilege.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I should be like, oh, yeah, it's what I like to do, but I'm a garbage man and I just take out trash, or I can do construction work, or, you know, I, you know, do hard labor. And people didn't have money. People nowadays in relationships, they're like, I need to know what you do for money and then what I do for money. And so that way, before I get into anything, I want to know that maybe if it does work out, then I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. And back then, no one even like, what do you mean? Like, you're talking about money, like, you know, life sucks. Your life sucks. Now our life sucks together.
Yeah.
And hopefully we make some money and raise some good kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I look at it like, you know, those who, you know, I'm like, that's why a big part of me coming back sort of to the East Coast is, you know, as our parents get older, I'm really like intrigued of like my roots and my ancestral like habits. And I'll tell you a cool story is that when I came to New York, I started street performing on this corner. I walked all over Williamsburg and I found this corner on 10th and Wythe. It's outside the Williamsburg Hotel and by the Brooklyn Bowl. And, you know, I said, Abba, we call our pops Abba, which is dad in Hebrew. And I said, hey, Abba, where did you work? So he sends me this address and he goes, I did maintenance at this place in Greenpoint. So at this point, I didn't realize the thing is that I went one day to this place to go take a picture, and I see this guy outside the building, and it's like this old guy, and I told him the story about my father, and he lets me come in, and I do a little video, and I'm like, whoa, this is where my father like worked. And then I meet this other guy who was a young dude, and it's this guy's son, so this guy works with his dad. And I said, you know what, let me FaceTime my dad real quick and be like, wow, what are the chances? And this guy, his name was Kiko, and there was a brother, it was Kiko and Kike, and this guy worked there in 72, and my father worked there in 76, and he goes, hey, yeah, I met this one guy, Kiko, and he goes, get out, that's my brother, and I'm Kike, and they're like, holy shit, and that was like the first guy my father met, and he was literally outside at the time when I knocked on the door. Now, that's not the craziest part. I walk literally one block up, and that's the place I've been performing the entire time since I first got to New York. So my first place of work in New York was the same first place that my dad, I looked to the right, that's the building that he worked in.
Wow, that's amazing how that comes full circle like that, huh?
Yeah, and I think people think like, yo, I'm really into like, when I go back to Israel, I wanted to like learn the language perfect because and to keep that, you know. And plus, my brother was born in Israel. My oldest brother was born in Israel. I was born here, so I felt sort of detached from it my whole life. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go do this too. I'm going to go live in Israel for as long as I am, and I want to live there more. And then I looked at, you know, just, you know, learning the story of our family, like where we're at, where my father came from in Europe to go to Turkey, to fly from Turkey to Israel as a teenager. All that stuff is like important to me because when you're gone, no one's gonna be able to tell me where to go.
You're right.
Who knows? So it's up to me to kind of do that. And I think wrestling really is like sort of, I just remember being so in it. And I think a lot of that stuff, you know, just was really like helpful for me to, you have somebody that's always showing up with you, and you kind of just hope at the end of, you know, the next phases of your life that you kind of keep that mentality of like historical context, integrity, and learning it. So that way it's not diluted, because every, you know, message gets diluted, you know?
Yeah, you pass it on and you get some
you pass it on
perspective.
because no one knows the real stories. And the only way you get that out is by spending time in those areas or with those people, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you lived in, how long did you end up living in Israel for?
I mean, I was there for, you know, started going in June, July, August, and then September full time all the way to the end of February, so March. And so it's like about 9 months. And then, but I was always bouncing in and out. This has been the longest time where I haven't flown anywhere. I haven't flown on a plane since March. It's crazy, dude. I'm like lost to go anywhere.
Right.
But there's nowhere to go play. All
Right.
I can do is go play on the street.
Right.
What am I gonna do?
What was the biggest difference with living in Israel compared to living in America?
I mean, it's completely different as far as, there's just people from all over the world. There's, a lot of the immigrants there are immigrating there because they think life is going to be better there. They're coming from France where there's high amounts of anti-Semitism. They're coming from Russia where it probably sucks. And they're like, yo, come here, make more money. And it's sunny. And Americans that are living there do it more in a vision of like, I want to be in Israel and just try something different. And maybe I just don't really like how it's going in America, so I'll try Israel. We have a kind of luxury here because we have our American citizenship. We come back and forth whenever we want. If you're in Israel, you can't just be like, oh, I'll just go to America today and buy a ticket. You need to get a visa. There's a lot of things because people want to come here and they think it's like the Holy Grail. So, and in many cases, in comparison to a lot of other places, it is because there's no work. It costs the same amount to live there, yet the pay there is way less. So a lot of people are doing overseas stuff, but you wake up every day. I was riding by the beach on a scooter, going to school, to language school, and just chilling, and living and doing my internet stuff over there. And you were just 7 hours earlier. That's it. It's kind of like the same thing, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. Just a different scenery. And, even living in LA, what was the big difference between, just living in LA, marketing there, performing there, compared to, New York City and the whole metro area over here?
I feel like LA, it's very segregated as far as neighborhoods and type of people. And New York is like a melting pot. You're going to get everything in the same location. You're going to get one guy who's dressed as a bum and he's a millionaire, one guy who's dressed as a bum who's homeless, one guy who's, and everyone's like, it could be at the same place. And in LA, that's not usually the case. It's like specific kind of people hang out in this neighborhood. It's very, branched off, and you need a car. Here, it's very, I feel New York City is more underground. I mean, we have an underground system. There's a subway, what I mean?
Yeah.
And it takes you literally anywhere you want to go. And you could just kind of set up and get it cracking anywhere. So playing in a subway and just, and the thing is, like, I guess LA is based on appearance. And what I mean that is that you don't want to be underground in LA because LA is the place where it's Hollywood, right? It's completely above the ground. Even if you're underground, you want to appear bigger, right? And in New York, I don't know. I feel like humility is fine. Like getting a regular job is fine in New York, or because it's a tough city and it's New York tough. And you're like, yo, I'm going to perform in a subway. Why are you performing in a subway? Well, what venues are open? Okay. Like, you know what I mean? The cop asks you to stop and you're like, well, I can't get a permit because de Blasio doesn't, because of Corona. So it's like, what do you expect me to do? And okay,
Right.
I just feel like I like the underground lifestyle more. I like hardcore stuff. And I think that is encouraged in New York versus LA. It's sort of, it's different.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially, when I would walk to class at NYU down, University or Third Ave, even just walking to class, you would pass so many different people. You had businessmen, you had some celebrities, you had the homeless people, and it was just people doing their thing, hustling, and you just see so many different people. You don't even know what they're doing, and we would see celebrities, and they would just be doing their thing.
Right.
I would always see Alec Baldwin just walking his dog, like it was
Really?
just crazy. Yeah, right. I think he lives right on University Ave, right on Third Ave. I used to see him all the time, just him hungover, just walking his dog, and I'd just be walking my 8 a.m.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that you could see somebody and they're just, it is what it is in New York. Yeah. And in LA, it's more of like, And there's I love LA. I love the weather. I love the atmosphere. There's a lot of great songwriters out there for music. It's a huge hub. It's the hub, I would say, more than New York. But I don't think I'm that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I am, and I'm okay. And I think having some humility and being like accepting of what it is, you're going to do better in different places than other people. Like, what works for you in New York won't work for me. You know what I mean? And what works for my big brother Zach doesn't work for my big brother Eilon. You know, we're all our own separate individuals, but like, you have to know. And as much as we want to do what we look at other people that inspire us, we have to take the bits and pieces and apply it to our own lives. You know what I mean? So like, everyone's like, well, what about Israel? What about Israel? I'm like, what about, let me do my thing. Like, if I decide to move to Indiana, I'm gonna go to Indiana and I'll tell you how it is too. You know what I'm saying? Over there.
Like that old saying, you know, comparison is a theft of joy.
Yeah, exactly. We never compare ourselves to anyone that's doing worse than us. You're never going to be like, oh, I want to compare myself to the guy that's wrestling first, you know? Like, you're only like going to compare yourself to somebody who's like the WWE champ, or I'll never compare myself to a rapper that's has less streams, and you know, because the grass is always greener, like I said, on that other side, you know. So I don't know. I've been having a good COVID, you know, like
making the best out of the situation.
I caught it already, so it's like, and I think though for my career, like just releasing the album and learning how to like control my own followers and get them more engaged. I think like I got all the firepower in the world. It's like, it's funny. We always like to think I want to get bigger, but I'm like, why don't you cater to the people that you already have and let them help you get bigger, not you get bigger without them. You know what I mean? Like, let me empower my own circle.
Yeah, they're part of the journey and the story. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So right now I'm doing all the storytelling. So like every day I'm telling these like long form written stories so people could read it, because I want people to spend time. And that's sort of the concept of my new album, was like, instead of going really loud and going for big stuff, I want to attract people to me and to spend more time with me, you know. And I think if you only know me for, you know, 3 minutes, which is how we know most people, like I said earlier in the podcast, I was getting 3 minutes on stage in front of 1,000 people. But right now in my life, I think that I'd rather spend 30 minutes with 30 people, because I think that's actually more important, because I don't retain those 1,000 people that I played for 10,000 people. They might not even, they saw somebody they don't hear my name right, or, you know.
Yeah,
that's the reality of it.
And that's, that goes off of your new album, Nobody Cares Except You, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I ask everyone this, you know, your adversity moment. What is some adversity you've been through that is a part of you, a part of your story and journey now?
For me, a big part was getting sober, like in 2004, you know, like I remember just, you know, I was facing a lot of prison time. I had already did time. And I had to make a decision. And I made the decision, and I had to make a decision when I didn't want to make the decision. And that's when you could really understand adversity. It's like, everyone wants to change on their own terms. I'll quit smoking tomorrow. But when you're getting arrested and facing prison time, that's it. You test positive one more time, you're definitely going away. So I don't care what you were supposed to do. All those that doesn't matter. Your whole life has changed. So for me, that was sort of a helpful moment, because I really did want to change tomorrow, but I wanted to change tomorrow for like a year, 2 years, and I never changed tomorrow. And I think that's like, should be noted, that like, if anyone's listening and they're like, oh, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. It's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you know you should have done it weeks ago. When you fill out that form, but it is, and I commend a lot of people that end up changing, but I was only able to change when I was forced to. But like I said, you know, the theme of a lot of it is that we want to all have that night where we get $10,000 for the show or the match, right? Or, you know, for your case, the wrestling match. But the reality is, you know, in the street performing world, it's not about Friday, Saturday night when there's more people out. It's about the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the daytime, you know, the shitty, you know, and that's sort of how we trade off for our 9 to 5. That's the grunt work we have to do. And then we get payment, however that's spiritual, fiscally, physically. That stuff transfers to our big Friday night lights, you know, for our Saturday night show. Zach has worked his whole life, you know, writing articles and articles that are read and aren't read. And then he gets the one big client that pays off for all those, you know, little things. And what attracted that person to that big payday was all the little things, you know?
Right.
So for me, all my success really came from that root of like running from the police and being like, it's over. And then there was a couple of other things that I thought that were like some gift from God and stuff that happened that really determined my fate. And then I thought like, wow, like if I do this, now I'll really let a lot of people down. So, you know, I've been sober 16 years more, and it was all like built up into that one day where I was like, nothing that I've even done, nothing would have been possible without those small decisions. And I think like, you know, you have to keep it real with yourself in that level of like knowing that. And like even my failures weren't even be possible because I wasn't doing anything. I never did anything. And from that when I quit the wrestling team in like 2001, from 2001 to 2004, I did absolutely nothing. And I could have been, but I didn't, you know what I mean? So
yeah. That's you know, that's definitely a great thing, you know. Don't delay tomorrow, you know. Let's do it now, right? Get after it now, and being consistent. Consistency pays off.
Yeah.
And going into your new album now, right? It's very zeitgeist, you know, going to big college terms, zeitgeist, modern times. But it's true. No one cares but you, you know. It's eventually it's going to come down to you and your decisions and, you know, how you build your brand, because no one's going to, you know, you have your family and everything, but you really have to care about yourself and your brand to really make it happen. And talk about your new album.
I would say the album was going to be called originally Nobody Cares, but then I was like, nobody cares. Like I made this song called Nobody Cares. And then I said, and when I did a Kickstarter for it, I said, this won't work because whenever you do a Kickstarter, you got to like talk to somebody a little bit. You can't just be like, yo, check it out. Please give me money. And you're like, all right, bro, like you ask me for money, at least sell it to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
I start talking, you know, 15 minutes, 20 to everyone. I was like, it's got to be called Nobody Cares Except You. And the thing is, we live in a culture where, like I said, everyone's second, third place and fine with it. And 2 and 3 are big numbers for me because I took second and third all the time. I never took first. And second and third was always like 2 or 3 minutes on stage. And I always was okay with opening up and just being second and rapping for 3 minutes and never really getting what I truly deserved. But in music industry, it's an interesting thing. So you always take what you could get, right? And at a certain point, you're like, okay, I know that works for what it is. Let's do something different. Let's not take what we could get and say, this is what we're doing. Are you in? And, you know, you're not getting as many people, but you're connecting more. You know what I'm saying? You're connecting more and you're going to build more of a core base that like really fuck with you. So I brought out an album. It was my first album in 4 years. Now my last album, it charted on Billboard. This album, it didn't. But that doesn't mean this album isn't better. You know what I'm saying? Because there's wrestlers, right, that have 54-0, but they wrestled all fish, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's another guy that's like 13-3, but he's wrestled, you know, he lost to a bunch of, you know, big fighters and you're dealing with rejection a lot. So this album is about that. It's about being rejected. It's about growing up. It's about acceptance. It's about, you know, yeah, it'd be fun, tough too, but like really saying like, this is it, bro. You're not a 25-year-old like sexy college kid with like a fresh fully hair. Like you're an older dude. It's like you're more hardcore. You're underground. You know what I'm saying? You still got it, but you know, you're not like This isn't like pretty pop culture, but the songs are produced by people who all have #1 records in the entire world. I mean, this guy Sad Pony, who produced it, did Tekashi 6ix9ine, Nicki Minaj, Trolls, #1 on Billboard. Sam Barsh did Anderson .Paak, Logic, ASAP Ferg. He did Aloe Black, #1 record. Cool Kojak did Modest Yahoo album, and did Lizzo, Kanye West. My trainers are, my producers are top of the line. You know what I mean? Because people respect what I do, and they bless me with it. You know what I mean? So that is like what I find valuable. And someone once told me, like, yo, there's $1 million out there for everybody. You got to go find it. And I think I have the proper ammunition to attract that. While as the other album, though, I figured out how to get it, bigger on the charts. It didn't mean that people really listened to it. You know what I mean? And in music, you got to get people to listen. You can manipulate all the numbers you want, but it doesn't mean you have fans. So I'm not paying anybody, hey, you put me on your playlist, this. I'm like, no, bro, listen to it. It's dope. You know what I mean? If you mess with it. And when I need to manipulate some of the numbers and spend some more money on that now, but now I'm like, I have my core followers. Let me activate my army versus try to recruit new people in. I already got an army. Why am I trying to get a new one? You know what I'm saying? So, that, like, I hope people watch this and they're like, I gotta listen to this dude,
Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna be pushing for you, my man. I appreciate you. Yeah. We'll end it with this, right? I always end it with this. Who is Kosha Dillz? Well, who is Rami Even-Esh, and what do you want to be known for?
Cool. Kosha Dillz is a underground rapper known for his hustle, but I want to be known for my lyrics and integrity and honor. Rami Even-Esh is the youngest brother of 3, son of Alex, and he wants to be known for being more successful than both of his brothers.
That's the competitive edge right there.
Yeah, because I told my brother Eilon, I said, listen, even though Zach might, maybe have more successful business, what only matters is whether you could beat him in a fight or not. And that's really what matters to me. I don't know what matters to anyone else. That's what matters. And, we all, I was just thinking about us, we all dream of like being in fights and stuff. I feel like my oldest brother was craziest, and, he's always way more extreme than a lot of us. And my other brother was always battling uphill and fighting injury and like just really hard grunt worker. And me, I'm a good combination of both of those dudes with my own twist, so, and learning from, I have what they did and I get to learn from both of them and what they messed up at and use it in my life,
Yeah, definitely. So you gotta make my theme music, my man.
Yeah, dude, I know. We need it, dude.
I gotta get to the next level and have my own personal jam.
Yeah, dude, you need it. You need to have your own personal joint. And then we get it up to WW. You need to get in WW, but to tell you what, man, I was watching your stuff and I'm like, all right, he's committed. He's trying to go. So I don't see any reason why you can't. And listen, dude, Dave Bautista came to my show too, just like you. You guys are only 2 wrestlers. He came to the Mercury Lounge also. Yeah. And I saw him when I first toured with RZA, and I met Dave Bautista, and he was like, yo, dude, I'll be in your music video. I don't care, like whatever. And now, like, the other day he retweeted me, and I was like, man, that's fucking epic. Yeah. Like, Dave Bautista retweeted me. He's like one of the biggest in the world, Yeah, definitely. And he's just a good dude. He's a hardworking guy. And I love wrestlers. I love wrestling. And I grew up on, SummerSlam, and we used to watch it in Zach's room and invite everyone over. So I think it's awesome. That's what you're doing. So. Yeah.
All in all the time, huh? So where can people find you? On your Instagram, Twitter? You're on Spotify?
Yeah, everything is Kosha Dillz, KOSHA DILLZ. KoshaDillzWorld.com. The album's called Nobody Cares Except You. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Kosha Dillz. I'm like doing all kinds of fun stuff on TikTok. Doing Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube. and I got a gang of music videos, and you could just dive into a lot of the old stuff on YouTube. Just go back and see the weird blogs in the middle of Alaska, and you know, and just kind of really, you could just, there's not a lot of views in some of these videos, you know, but they're all really raw stuff that we were just doing and just uploading back in the days before iPhones, Blackberries we were filming on. And you know, it's really cool, because soon this stuff is going to be, you know, they're going to be vintage, you know. And it's just the other year we were doing it, so you know.
Even the Super Bowl commercial, that was awesome.
The Super Bowl commercial was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And the other day I met a homegirl, and she's like, yeah, we're first project I'm working on is possibly, I was like, don't say Super Bowl commercial, man, because I've been there, you know what I mean? And you got to put that work in to get those things, and you got to work with the right people. And if I didn't select those people, you have to select the person before. You're never going to get somebody once they're there. You got to pick the people before they go big. The guy that produced for Sad Pony, before he produced for Nicki Minaj and Tekashi 6ix9ine, and that came out in like June or July. I didn't buy those beats after he made that. I got them before, when he was grinding. And I was like, yo, I mess with you, bro. I'm gonna get some. You know, I'm gonna get some beats from you and pay for them. And but having a good picker of picking your partners before they go, that's the real skill. Like look around you while you're like listening to this, or you're looking on who you're supporting on Instagram, or who you're sharing stuff, and they only have 1,000 followers. But if you believe in them, dude, like ride for them, you know. And I learned that, and I'll tell you this about the album, Nobody Cares Except You. The reason how I can get people to care about me is when I start to care about them. And that's what I learned that I wasn't doing for such a long part of my life. I was just asking. So now that I care about other people, and you know, it's a long way back, but like I feel like I'm like starting over, because I'm just approaching everything differently.
That's the way to do it. Staying connected, right? You want to close this out with a rhyme?
Yeah. All right, ready? What should I rap about? What's the name of the should I do incorporate the name of the podcast and you and everybody?
The podcast name it's The Breakfast Buffet. You know, you can get anything at the Breakfast Buffet. Yeah.
All right, cool. Ready? All right. The breakfast buffet, no breakfast burrito. I'm trying to cook up brunch and lunch for my people. I had the evil ways of living, it's so fly. We Edison backwards, so you know it says no side. Oh my, when I jump, I'm underground like my brother be. People say, yeah, you hustling, you so hustly. I show you what my muscle be, I'm crazy and fly. I'm always squatting for 5 reps of 185, but I go up and watch my stance. I strengthen my core with a Pilates, damn. Yeah, I had to switch it to Zoom class. I'm looking for new cash. I'm kicking like 2 asses at one time, one rhyme, and it's too classy. This is the rap shit, I show you my life. People say, Dillz, I never knew you that dope on a mic. See, I flow off the top of the brain when I'm righteous with style. They say how you do it improv. I didn't need to write it down. This is something I explain, connect to the raps. Kosha Dillz, the 51st star, the American flag, to hell and back. Represent, I blaze with the raps. That's why every time I throw up an A when I'm ready to the jazz. Hey.
Hey, there we go.
Breakfast buffet. Let's go.
Man, yeah.
That gets me so pumped up. You know what I hate? I hate going on the spot, and I know I crush it every time, but I still hate doing it. I still get excited. So thanks for asking me.
Thanks for your time, my man. I appreciate you, and
yes, sir.
Hopefully I see you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Down right now, but I swear I'm about to cash in. Rather be broke together than alone in a mansion. Feeling like I'm never gonna make it, but they still know what my name is.